Hello. Good morning. This is video 770. It is September 19th, 2021. And I think for the past several weeks, I make a video on Sunday mornings. It's been kind of a trend, I suppose. But a couple things kind of pop up that just kind of on the periphery of my thought processes. Not necessarily sure if this one has a point or not, but there's some things to talk about. A friend of mine posted on their Facebook page something to the effect of she had been getting, and unfortunately I don't know the details. I haven't done my research. I'm probably not going to. But she had gotten some flack about her appearance by some people. And I don't know what group. I really don't care to know. But basically a trans discussion group, perhaps. Again, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm ignorant of it. But, and she had gotten some flack from her appearance, and it just kind of got me thinking a little bit. And her post on Facebook was pictures of herself saying, kind of in their face, do I get your approval now? And of course she looked beautiful, dolled up, as it were. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit because yesterday, when I went to donate blood, I ran into another trans woman, and at first it was in the building, which is very rare for me to do that. Where I live, there's not very many trans women that I know of. But anyway, I saw them, and at first I was like, my antenna picked up a vibe, and then I looked a little closer, and based on their age, much like my age, there are certain things that we just don't have control over when you're in your middle age. That you can have surgery. At that point, you're looking at a knife to make changes to your body. The hormones are only going to be so nice to you. There's just limitations. And bone structure, skull structure, body size. Things that, we went through male puberty a long time ago. And we just can't change that. Without severe body work and reconstruction, and even at that point there's just limits. But and I guess in my own critical way, I just gave them a once over and realized they're trans women. As I think back, probably bone structure is what gave it away more than anything else. We don't have hips, and conversely, on the flip side, for a trans man, they have hips. They can transition. They can have beard, deep voice, have top surgery, and in all intents and purposes can look very masculine, but they have hips, and it's a dead giveaway. It's a dead giveaway. It's the same thing as an Adam's apple for a trans woman. And yes, you can have a trach shave. Like I said, there's mechanical things we can do that can change things. It's just how much money and how much time you're going to put into it. But back to my friend, though. I mean, just her her skill with cosmetics is just blows my mind. And it's not, you know, what we might consider attractive or feminine, is very much a product of the environment we were raised in. I would kind of consider her makeup Walton's esque. And if you were not so blessed to grow up in the 70s, the Waltons was a TV show in America that was set in kind of World War II, pre-World War II, during World War II type Depression area, the Great Depression in America, wherein the stock market crashed and whatever, kind of before we had entered World War II and got ourselves out of the economic, and it was kind of based in the South, I believe. I can't tell you where. I really have never enjoyed watching the show because it's like depressing in many ways. And like I said, it was like a soap opera at night, and Jim Bob, lost his job at the pickle plant, and is he going to go serve in war? And it's just very depressing. Um, it was supposed to be kind of a heartwarming, let's work together type thing. As Archie Bunker dealt with racism and male chauvinism and a little bit of humor, perhaps, from Carl Reiner as a writer, this was just depressing, like heartwarming, and Joe Bob, gave his last dime, sweeping the storefront to help buy a kidney for Sarah Joe down the road. It was like a depressing. Like I said, it's not my cup of tea anyway. Not my cup of tea. Drama is not my cup of tea. Life, in my opinion, is too. I've had too much drama in my life. I don't enjoy watching drama. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But back to the Waltons and why I brought it up is, it was set in 1930-ish America, but all of the makeup was 1970s-ish American makeup. All earth tones, kind of tannish, but not necessarily bronzer. And I apologize for my lack of knowledge of makeup and cosmetics. But they had the blush that was brownish kind of tones, and all the women wore nylons. They wore pantyhose. Even though in World War II, pantyhose, nylon was at a, you know what I mean? Poor people didn't have nylon. Anyway, there's some idiosyncrasies and historical things that are just not right about the TV show. But my friend, locked in that look, the makeup of the 70s. And that's not to say she's stuck in that look, but that's the look that when I see her, when she's made up, that's what she has. And I can't, I'm not really sure if I can, I'm not doing a good job of conveying it. But anyway. So her skill and the way she makes herself up is very beautiful in the programming that I have had and the programming that she has. And definitely, any one of the photos she took, there's no way in hell you would not look at her and see woman, okay, to see femininity, okay. And so, it was kind of a in the face of these people, I guess, who criticized her. But and while I'm on the subject, there are other trans women. Oh my gosh, my friend Dawn, who just beautiful, and not to be too doling out compliments here, but as far as the skin, the porcelain skin and just the right tone, able to have that not necessarily glamour look that like my other friend had, but just a natural, healthy female look. And then she can also take it to the next level and do all the makeup and I mean, just beautiful. Okay, all right, enough. Enough. I'll tell you where to send the checks later. Compliments, but no bullshit. Okay, she's beautiful, and all of these things that maybe I have been programmed with to associate with beautiful, beauty, beauty, beauty. When in truth, uh, all women are beautiful. You know, as the song goes, everyone's beautiful in their everything's beautiful in its own way. Okay, which was sung by Ray Stevens of all people. Ray Stevens, known for songs like "The Streak," and Ahab, the Arab, and a bunch of other kind of novelty songs from the 50s and 60s. Ray Stevens saying everything is beautiful in its own way, and that blows my mind. He also sang the Cannonball Run theme song, if we're being particular. So go back and watch that. What do you say when you've done it all? Cannonball. Okay? It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Cannonball Run. Anyway, back to the source of this. My friend showing that she could be beautiful in to these people, and I don't know if they're turfs or whatnot, but anyway, um, I have another friend Jamie, who talk about jaw dropping, beautiful. Okay, uh, I've never seen her in a glamour type style, but as far as natural day to day, beautiful. She's a nurse. Anyway, so I don't know where I'm driving with this, but you know, each of us, myself excluded, trans women and cis women in general too, have the ability to be different stages of beautiful, okay? Whether it's beautiful without makeup, whether it's beautiful with a little bit of makeup, while it's beautiful with the everyday look that, oh, I'm not wearing makeup. Well, they are, but, it's a little bit, it's not, you know, and then glamour type, take it up another notch to what would be glamour. And, that was something I learned in theater. Um, um, glamour, you can do an actor's makeup kind of every day. And of course, maybe that's not really a good example because an actor's makeup is made to look good from like 30 feet away. If you look at an actor's makeup up close, they look terrible. Because everything is made so you look at it from an audience's distance, like 30 to 40 feet away, and they're beautiful, if they're female, and then glamour makeup was what the makeup instructors, uh, when you definitely accentuate certain things with the feminine, what we have associated with femininity, whether it be the eyelashes or eyeliner or all of the things that we have kind of been trained. I've been trained to associate with femininity, whether it be, blush or eye stuff, shadow, liner, all that crap. But anyway, so my friend nailed it. I mean, she nailed it. She nailed it. She nailed it. She always does. And pictures of her that just make your eyes drop. And what I had written to her was that two things. I'll do the second one first in pure Yoda fashion. Um, she met exceeded the expectation of saying, here you've talked all this shit about trans women not being able to look beautiful and pass. Look at me. You've knocked me all week, and here's in your face. I think she succeeded in that. But the other thing that I kind of had mentioned to her was, Mark Twain is famous for many things. But one of the things he wrote about in one of his essays was "Clothes Make the Man," which certainly is not a new thought. He didn't create it. There's Greek, and I can't think of the Greek philosopher who came up with "Clothes maketh the man." There's a quote in the Bible. At one point, someone said something about clothes, and you can interpret that different ways. But people. The short of it is that people, not only do by dressing a certain way might it give us some confidence, and especially again from an actor's point of view, um, when you're in costume and let's say you're doing a period piece, you're able to kind of like putting on a glove for the doing the right tool for the right job. Clothes help you project and get into your character and everything. And I think for her, but this is like a mid thought, sorry, half baked idea. Maybe that's what she was doing. She was putting on the face, the makeup that they expected to see, and fulfilling that. That's an interesting side thought. But let's stick with the other thought I haven't finished yet. Clothes maketh the man. People judge us by what we wear. Clothes maketh the man. But my question with that was, well, does that mean, does clothes maketh the woman, or in this case, does appearance maketh the woman? The makeup, is she all dolled up, for lack of a better word? Is she more of a woman than she is without any makeup? I don't wear makeup really anymore. I don't. I could. We've talked about that before. That's one of the nice things about kind of transitioning and being a trans woman, being a woman, I guess, in general. You don't have to. You don't have to wear makeup if you don't want to. You can if you want to. I choose not to. I don't feel like it. Okay, I might feel like it later, and I could do it, but it's not something that I do. But even last night I painted my nails. Didn't have to do that either. I wish they were a little longer. My nails don't grow very long. But anyway, does appearance make the woman? And I guess that was the thought. And again, I think back to the trans woman I saw yesterday who wore no makeup. She didn't have makeup on. She wore little earrings, and she had it was like a t-shirt and an old jean skirt that was faded. And I remember what shoes she wore, like flip flops. Okay. And what did I wear while we're giving you the fashion report? I wore a Star Wars T-shirt, a blue, mid-length skirt, and my New Balance sneakers. What I felt most comfortable in. And did anyone look at me and go, "Oh, it's a trans woman," or did anyone treat me differently? I don't think so. But of course, in this day and age, probably any business worth its salt has some sort of inclusion and diversity, and um, they should treat you with respect whether you're trans or not. Especially where I was at the blood place, donating my blood, they're not going to look at a person and misgender you and dead name you, etc., etc. That's just not the level of if you say you're a woman, you're a woman. All they care about is getting your blood. But anyway, food for thought. If it is, again, does clothes make it the woman, or I guess does makeup make the woman? Does appearance make the woman? And kind of what I had said to her was that if she's happy with herself, that is a huge, huge thing for any trans person, is to be happy with what they are and to accept their own limitations. I mean, that is like 10 points past the game. That's a winning move. You want to go over there? Hang on, I got my little baby. My little kitten. She's grown up. She's kind of become a teenager now. Especially for, again, a middle-aged trans person. We transition at middle age. There's so many things we have against us. Our body frame. The same person posted about breast gap, that, as part of our puberty, our chest, when we're younger, we get a big chest, bone structure, rib cage. And then we transition, and so our whatever breast disease we're able to develop, if we're so lucky, I use my hands here, they're like this because of the structure that spread when we were younger. Whereas if you were feminine, assigned female at birth, cis, I don't know what the lingo these kids today are using, but, they're like this when puberty, and the breasts come there together, but older trans women, we have this thing about breast gap, which I thought was like the gap between like what I have and what I want. That's the breast gap, but actually it's this distance. So that's kind of the first thing, do's appearance make the woman, and and the other thing too about the blood bank that I noticed yesterday is it's a cross section of people donating their blood. And this will come as no surprise to you. People come in all shapes and sizes, and what D&D I think had at one point was called comeliness. We're us veteran D&D players. We're used to strength, intelligence, wisdom, constitution, dexterity, and charisma, I think. But I remember back in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, I think the Gary Gygax's book, it might have been Unearthed Arcana. Anyway, one of the supplemental books had actually come out with comeliness, which was a kind way of saying, based on your physical appearance, that was not strength-based stamina. It was your basically sex appeal, for lack of a better word. Which I think kind of got dumped and is kind of rolled into that charisma stat. But let's say a character who, a D&D character, a role-playing character, not an actor character, who might be visibly scarred, might have a lower comeliness score than someone who has, a woman with the perfect porcelain skin, those type of things. But people do treat us differently based on that value, I mean, at least in the society I was raised up in, and still to a certain degree. Me, my amateur, therapist, trans radar, I picked out the other trans woman like that. She probably picked me out like that. There was a nonverbal, kind of like that nod you used to give in high school. You walk through the corridor, see your friend. That nod. Hey. Nonverbal communication, acknowledgement. I think she gave me the same. She knew who I was. I knew she. Gaydar, I guess, is what it used to be called in the 90s. So that's kind of that. And I think I've kind of run this thought down to its conclusion, if there is one. So, does appearance make it? I think the final step of it is that whatever we feel comfortable with, like I told my friend, if you are happy with your appearance, you're way ahead of the game as far as being trans goes, your transition. And especially if you're middle-aged and you realize that there are limitations and you're comfortable with that, you accept it. That is the impossible star that Don Quixote tries to reach to reach the unreachable star. You know, we we do miracles in our own lives once we, if we can accept our own shortcomings. And there's definitely part of the, at least I've seen in the trans community, with trans women who just, they don't accept it. They feel like, oh, if I just had, my breasts haven't developed yet, and you're like, well, you've been on hormones for 4 years, you probably have reached the end of the road, or um, you know, I met one trans gal who had like a laundry list of things she wanted to do, and all the power to her. But my gosh, the amount of cosmetic surgery she wanted to have, and it was things like, I want to lower my eyebrows. My eyebrows are too high, or I just want to get 3 centimeters off my cheekbones. It sounded like the actress from the movie Looker, Albert Finney, and Susan Day, I believe. The plastic surgeon who's dealing with models, and they're my cheekbones are 2 centimeters too large, and my nose is 3 centimeters to forward, and he's like, you're very precise. But anyway, it's a good movie if you haven't seen it. Looker, go check it out. Um, the second thing I wanted to talk about, if I can remember. Oh, this will come as no surprise to you as well. There's a difference between men and women. Did you know that? Um, over the past 2 to 3 weeks, I've had the privilege of being in an office, being kind of in a squabble with one of my coworkers. And without going into too much detail, because it's not really important, um, you can have an argument with a guy, a dude, and you can be, for that moment, enemies, and things are just not right, and you blow up, you yell at each other, whatnot, and it's like the wind changes, the sun comes out. You can be best buds, you can be friends again. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, whatever. It's like instant makeup, kiss and makeup, everything's wonderful. Okay. And someone who, again, a day or two before you were yelling at, or you thought they were an asshole, it's quick. Okay. It ain't like that in the woman world. If you've not encountered it yet, you probably have. Um, Women hold grudges, and women can be very evil. Okay. I mean, it's something I had forgotten. I had a roommate in high school, in college, excuse me, who was evil to a degree that I had never encountered before, and I had forgotten that. And like I said, over the last month, 4 weeks, I encountered just a woman who, for whatever reason, gave her jollies. She was set out to make my life miserable. She sabotaged our office's productivity, my productivity, to make me look bad. And you could probably say, well, there's a bad apple in every bunch, right? It's whatever. But I'm just saying, be prepared if you're about to transition and enter the woman's world, particularly at work. Although it's a relationship with anyone, but a good friend of mine, David, pointed out last night that we spend the majority of our adult life at work. We're at home, but when we're at home, we're sleeping. We eat, we get ready, we go to work. We spend the bulk of our waking hours at work, and they say health hath no fury like a woman scorned, but women do not forgive or forget easily. And if I think there's a bit of euphoria when we enter the woman's world. If again, assuming you're a trans woman, just be prepared for, oh, it's so nice to have you. You know, this very positive da da da. But women can be malicious and evil. I mean, just evil, selfish, sour, venomous. Um, you know, be prepared for that, and be careful what you say. I guess you should always do that, particularly in the workplace. But you know, I've heard a couple things from my friends who, you know, they transitioned and everything was great, and oh, the women in the office, they accept me as one of them, blah 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 blah. But then something will happen, and oh my gosh, you know, that's something not to be afraid of, but just to be aware of, is that women, you know, as kind and as wonderful and as giving as we can be, the flip side of that, you know, whatnot. I guess in the last thing I'll close up on, this is number 3. You get 3 good things. Well, that's debatable. You get 3 things today. Amber Ruffin, if you're not familiar with her, she's a writer for Seth Meyers, the Late Night with Seth Meyers. She's a writer, one of the writers, and a very talented, brilliant, charismatic person, which, you know, for a writer is very odd. TV writer, usually they're in the background writing for someone else. But she is just awesome, and her shtick is very good. And they gave her kind of her own web series, which I think will grow into a broadcast series. It just got renewed for a 2nd season. They just gave her. They started her off in like a broom closet, and then about a month or 2 ago, they let her use Seth's studio, and then they just recently let her have an audience. And she's just very bright, very wonderful, very smart, and very talented, charismatic. Like I said, comedian, commentary, social commentary, whatever. But she had a song this week that was set to, excuse my memory, Kermit the Frog, The Rainbow Connection. Thank you. For those of you who shouted that out, I appreciate that. I heard you. You said Rainbow Connection. Who could forget? But it was about banning ejaculation, but that was not the point of it. Her segment was about, and the song started off, why are there so many laws against women? And, you know, that's something we've been seeing lately in a contemporary, if this is looked at in the future. The state of Texas, within the last month, has passed just this drastic anti-abortion bill that, you know, makes it, you can't get an abortion 6 weeks into your pregnancy, which, you know, if depending on how much you know about female anatomy, it's very hard, you know, to know you're pregnant. There's no like sign until, you know, it's too early to really tell that you're pregnant, whatnot. And anyway, but the idea was, you know, why, when there's a problem, okay, unwanted pregnancies, abortion, it's always, it seems, it is always, the tactic is to blame the woman or to take legal action against a woman, to inconvenience a woman. Okay, it's always, instead of looking at it maybe with unbiased eyes, it seems like it's always against the woman. The woman is always, you know, the problem, you know, when in reality, as far as getting pregnant goes, takes 2 to tango, right? You gotta have a man and a woman. And I guess in these days, I can't really say that. You gotta have a egg and a sperm. I can say that, can't I? You have to have an egg carrier and a sperm carrier. Take man and woman out of it. That's like, is that like non-binary? If you happen to have an egg and you happen to have sperm. Okay. It's always the woman. It's always the woman's fault, when it comes to rape. Well, look at how she was dressed. She was asking for it. Okay, so we're going to, women, dress code in school. It's the women, it's the girls that are the problem. It's not the boys. Okay, it's not the men. It's not, da 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 da. And so, a lot of us in this, or at least I've noticed, the idea is, well, the easiest way to prevent a pregnancy is vasectomies in guys. Cut off the sperm connection. And, an Amber's song was, ban ejaculation. And of course that's like, what do you mean? But it's poignant. Here you are saying you're gonna mess up a woman's life and you're blaming this all on the woman, when you could also flip that and say, well, what about the guy? What about his role? And why are we doing all this stuff here when you could also do it over here? It's not to say one is better or worse than the other. It's just, had you considered this, and for a guy to think about limiting ejaculation, climaxing, orgasm, is off the table. It's inhumane, it's cruel, but isn't this also cruel? And I guess that was part of the point. But I can remember, in the book Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, I believe, my memory serves, my high school English class comes to mind. In the book Brave New World, they control breeding so much. Yeah, people are basically, women are men and women are sterile by mechanical means, be it vasectomy or cutting the tubes, but also chemically, automatically. It's just part of, when they're younger, it's mandatory, and they always have the option of reversing the surgery when they want to have a child. And of course, in the book, it's kind of a way of controlling the future of the race, etc., etc. But back in when we were talking about overpopulation in China and everything, it just made so much more sense. China was limiting how many children you could have, and they only let boys through the gates, which again, you see this, why is there always so many laws against women? It's just by default. That's just the way we go. It's the girl's fault. Now, how does this come into this channel? Why am I talking about it? Because, and this is probably going to be really centered on how old you are. Okay, and the channel is one transit middle age, so I'm going to assume middle age, but you don't have to be to understand it. Society looks down on women. Okay, surprise, surprise. And I think part of the problem why fathers, men, have such a hard time accepting the idea that their son wants to become a woman is because, from their point of view, they have the power, they have control, they're a man, they're the dominant of the two. In a binary world, they're the dominant, they're in control, they're on top, they can do whatever they want. The future's in the palm of their hands, they have it, because they're a man. And men, fathers, have such a hard time, in my generation, hard time understanding why a person would want to give up that power to become something less, something less. And I think that's something that is probably with every generation, every year, that becomes less of a thing. Yes, you're still going to have your holdouts who, were from that generation, that social programming. But I think that's something that older trans women, that's something we have if, bless you, excuse me, I have a cat. Hairball. That is part of the challenge, is the father has a hard time understanding why the boy wants to give up his privilege. And it also makes that person do a little bit of growing up, because it challenges that male dominance, because now they have to treat their son as something less, as a woman. And I think mentally that's very hard to accept. My opinion, for what it's worth. Not much. Like I said, I think as generations roll on, it's going to become less and less of a thing. Like I said, you definitely will have your holdouts. Fuck, look at the U.S. Senate right now. It's basically a bunch of old white men, okay, who are like fighting progressive, Eventually they're just going to, through old age, they're going to die off. Let's assume we don't figure out a way to freeze them like Uncle Walt, Disney. Um, Luckily for us, for everybody, for the human race as a whole, that idea, in the United States at least, is falling apart. But you don't have to look very far in the world. Afghanistan was also in the news lately. The Taliban. Obviously, there's still societies that are very anti-woman. It's not narcissism, misogynistic. The Taliban this last week, they did away with the Afghan Department of Women something 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 and renamed it the Department of something and vice. Okay? Morality and vice. Okay? So again, here you have something that's pro-woman, women in a positive light. They dismantled it, and they're using that instead as the office of morality and vice, because women are evil creatures who must be controlled and contained. See where I'm going with this? And it's so inherent in our structure. It's so in us. It didn't used to be that way. Historically, if you look at cultures, I know Judaism is one. It's a matriarchal society. The mom, the woman wears the pants in the family. Okay, women are held in high regard. Other societies, women were the ones. And Christianity just changed that around. Oh no, women are evil. Women are to blame for our problems. Da 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 da. And everyone became Christian, and it's just perpetuated that anti-woman thing. But yeah, in the past, no. There was more, some societies were more co-equal. Some societies were non-binary. Some societies had a third sex, a double-spirited, if you will. Hawaiian Polynesian culture has a middle, people that are twin-spirited, I believe. I'm sorry for my inability to recall it. But again, back to trans stuff. And I had a friend, Jamie, who had a bit of a rough patch with her dad when she transitioned, in the same way that I did with mine. I think for specifically that reason. Now, I can't say firsthand with her dad, but with my dad treated women unfairly, mentally abused women. You know what I'm saying? So it was very hard, is still very hard for him to accept not only that I wanted to be the lesser, but that he had to face up. He had to, you know, he had to look in the mirror. He had to look, it's you. I can see you. He had to look in the mirror at his own shortcomings and do some growth, you know. And that's a hard thing to do. You know? It was the Knight of Mirrors. I've mentioned this before. It was the Knight of Mirrors that defeated Don Quixote. The old man was hell bent. He was a knight. He was gonna do. You talk about the impossible dream, and his opponent, among other things, real and imaginary, was the Knight of Mirrors, and it was a shield. The Knight of Mirrors had a shield that had mirrors on it, and he would hold it up against Don Quixote, and Don Quixote was forced to see his reflection that he was in reality an old man. He was not this brave knight, you know. But happy ending. Don Quixote triumphed over that, and he rejected the idea. You know, he was like, "I'm more than my reflection," which maybe is a good sum up for this whole video about clothes maketh the man. I'm more than that. I'm more than your opinion of me. I'm me. And that's a strong thing. That's a strong thing. Tyrion Lannister in, what is it, Song of Fire and Ice or Game of Thrones said, arm yourself in the things that other people use against you. You know, arm yourself in their criticism, because that way they can never use it against you. Well, we're ending this on a note. But just what I had in the conclusion, we'll end it. We'll wrap it up. I promise. I'll shut up. What I had ended with my friend is the idea that if she is happy with herself, you know, she's won. She's beat the system. Not only are we have other people's things to combat, but definitely the beauty industry. Watch TV, watch YouTube. The beauty industry plays on our insecurities, and I guess maybe that's why I stopped wearing makeup. Right? No, it's very true. I was like, I'm not going to play the game anymore. You know, not going to play the game anymore. If you think I'm Mike Jitlove, I'm going to do another movie reference, The Wizard of Speed and Time. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Mike Jitlove, it was an independent film he made in the 80s, I believe. He was a stop action animator. And it was his movie about his experience with the film industry in the 1970s in California. But beautiful music that he did. But he refused to shake hands. That was his thing. That's Mike's thing. He doesn't shake hands. And he never explained why. He just doesn't shake hands. And the woman in the movie that he met, she like, oh, what do you know, what's your problem? You know, what's wrong with you? You know, da 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 da. And he said to her, well, you know, if you won't be, what did he say? If you won't treat me with respect as a human being because you won't shake a part of my body, you have problems. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. Yeah, if we can accept this, we really are ahead of the game. And like I said, the beauty industry, that's where I was driving with this thought. You know, it is built upon playing with our insecurities. The commercials you see, oh, you know, our eye serum and skin softener and eyelid cream, it all plays on a woman's insecurities about herself and what we are expected to do to meet other people's expectations, which is a perfect dovetail into what my friend encountered with the people who wouldn't acknowledge her femininity or womanness because she didn't meet their expectations. And so if you can accept that, you're ahead of the game. And if you can give them both shotguns, you're also ahead of the game. And I hope that you are very happy with yourself. Not to say there's not things that we can improve upon. There definitely is. There always is. Things can always be better. They can always be worse. But, you know, my hope is that you will reach trans nirvana and you'll be happy with yourself no matter how you look, because you get to roll out of the bed and be the woman you are, be the man that you are, be the person you are, non-binary. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, because you know who you are. And you get to be you. You're the best you that has ever was and ever will be. Make me cry. You are awesome. All right. Till next time, my friends. Good luck. And good luck in becoming your authentic self as you define it. That's a hell of a statement, but it's true. As you define it. And that comes from an unexpected source. It was Professor Razak in the book Starship Troopers. Johnny Rico says, I'm going to join the mobile infantry and be the soldier I can be. And the teacher says, good for you. Go and find out. He didn't say what he should do. Go and find out for yourself and be what you want to be. All right, on that note, for the mobile infantry, would you like to know more? Have a good one. Cheers.